On Mike the Mapmaker, episode 9 of It's Business Crime, we're making a map of an apothecary. As always, there is a link to download the finished maps below, but I'm starting off here, and of course I got my little MS Paint sketch to help me coordinate myself at the beginning. The beginning of any map, I find it can be quite daunting to figure out where to even begin, and having a little sketch can help direct you a little bit in that early stage. Now, what is an apothecary? Well, from my googling online, I could see an apothecary is basically like a medieval pharmacist. And originally, when I was making this map, I was going to go for kind of a witchy vibe, like a potion maker's shop a la Ocarina of Time. I love that potion shop in that game. So that was my kind of immediate sort of thought when I was approaching this map. But I started off and I went for more of a circular design. I wanted this map to feel a bit different from the other ones that we've done in this series. So instead of being blocky and squarey, I focused on lovely curves and circles. Kind of the idea was coming from a witch's hut, you know how it's kind of circular. Well, I started doing that and then I got a little bit carried away. And I immediately suddenly had this change where I didn't really want it to be a witch's hut anymore. I kind of wanted it to be a big shop, but also like a medieval GP's office, a place where, yeah, you can go and buy potions and that sort of thing, but a place where you could also get some medical advice, because apothecaries back in the day, they did kind of do that as well. They gave medical advice, not like how you would see in the modern times, but if you've been following me so far, you know I like to approach these medieval fantasy maps with a little bit of the familiar, a little bit of a modern taste to it, a twist, if you will, so that players approaching your world, they have something they can go on and that feels a bit natural to them from where we are in 2025. So, I have made these circular buildings, and I'm going to tell you right now, immediately it was a bit of a faff. The big problem you have, being a big curved building, is a lot of the stamps that we place in the map in Inkarnate, the software we're using, well, they aren't curved. There's no option to curve them. So we have to get a little bit creative with this map. So for the shelves, I actually use the line tool, and when you place the line tool, you can use nodes to direct it, and you can make them curved. So I actually got it to match the curve of the circles, and I think the result actually looks pretty slick. In the same vein as well, I've used this line technique to actually make the windows for the building. Again, the stamps for the windows we've been using, well, they are straight, and that's just no good. It looks really awkward and weird if you're trying to place them. So yeah, line tool, making it curved, and then adding a glass texture to it. I think it looks rather snazzy, and though it doesn't match the other buildings we've made for our town, our starting town, I think it does help make this map a little bit more unique. Continuing on, we add our traditional Mike the Mapmaker toilet to our map. This one is going to be in a little circle at the bottom, continuing with the circular theme. And I'm now moving to the end room, which I think is a focal point for this map. It is a surgical suite type of room, a place where if things are getting bad for your patient, you can take them in there and do some surgery, old medieval style surgery on them, as horrible as you want that to be. And as you can see in the background, I am really struggling to get this big glass window to work. I'm making circles and using the line tool, but I just can't get it to look quite right. It takes me quite a while, and eventually I do a bit of a Frankenstein's monster of making a glass circle and then hiding it underneath some floor texture. Otherwise, it's got a bunch of tools in there for our doctor to use, and a table in the center of the room where these procedures can take place. Now, we move to the top of the map. I am making a little garden for our apothecary. So where do these medicines come from? In my mind, they actually grow a bunch of herbs and plants that they harvest and use to make the medicines on site. Jumping around a bit, we have the main apothecary's office. This is where a peasant in your town can book a medical appointment and talk about their problems. It actually looks like there might be an appointment happening right now. Doctor, please help. My content creator's son is ill. I don't know what's wrong. Well, it's clear here from his charts he needs more likes and subscribes. Make sure to like every video and slap him a comment to keep him happy and healthy. Mwah. Well, that was something. Anyway, continuing on with the map making, I'm adding some curtains to some of the bigger windows. It's nice to have lots of light in the building, but this is an apothecary. This is where you're getting medical advice. You probably don't want people to be able to look in and see all of the time. So the curtains can help with that. And in the main surgical suite, you've got this massive window going around. So I've added a couple of blue privacy screens that can be adjusted by the doctors to make sure no peeping eyes see the dangerous surgery going on within. This map was an absolute blast to make. I got to be really creative. In each room, well, there's all sorts of things you can put down, and I get to use stamps that you don't usually see. Stamps I would classify as being mad scientist swag. We've got lots of beakers and jars, sciencey, magical things are happening, and so I am going ballistic on this map. I'm adding lots of potions, and books, and scrolls, and powders. It's great, absolutely love it. But again, with these circular rooms, placing these items becomes a bit more of a challenge. I find it can help to actually approach it as if you were a character in the world, an NPC who worked at this place, and they were thinking about how they would arrange their office to be the most useful. Now, usually with these maps, these businesses in our starting town, I'd have the staff live on site, but I wanted a bit of a change of pace, so they live in this little cabin to the north of our garden, which I'm not gonna map, so I guess you've been shortchanged this week. Sorry folks, can't map everything. Anyway, I'm adding this quite charming little footpath around with the wooden planks to make sure you don't sink into the mud while you're tending to the garden, and I'm diversifying up the plants. In my head, we were gonna get lots of different plants so we can get the most medicine out of our harvest. I'm feeling pretty good about the inside of our apothecary, so I'm of course starting on the outside now. And again, I want this map to be a bit more unique, and so we're going to add a water feature. Over on the west side, I'm adding a little pond. And when making something like a water feature, well, it's a lot like making a perfect sandwich. You need lots of different layers. So at the bottom, I've started with a bit of mud, and then I put some rocks, and I've used a few overlay filters. I think that's what they're called. Basically, you mess with the automated things and it kind of makes them look transparent. And on top of that, I'm adding all sorts of extra details. I think it looks absolutely bloody beautiful, if I can be honest. And as I said, the creative juices, they're always flowing for me, and I decide randomly, let's have a fallen down tree. So I had a fallen down tree, got a little bit of soil turned over, some rocks. Probably happened recently, I imagined, but you've got lots of bushes as well surrounding it, and you can see I've added some dead bushes underneath as if this fallen tree has actually damaged some of that flora. And we're adding more bushes. If you've been watching in this series, well, these bushes that I'm using are the same ones we've had in a few other maps. Again, I want our maps to feel like a continual space, that if you were walking around the town, that you look around and you say, yeah, these are different places, but they're all in the same area. Speaking of area, I'm imagining this apothecary map to be on the edge of our starting town, near the woods where our apothecary folk can go and wander and harvest some regions that might not be in the garden. They can go a bit further afield. Other spaces on the map, we've got a little storage room, and the extra details for this one, I've added scrubs and kind of medical wear. I mean, I say scrubs and medical wear, it's medieval after all. I still think they would try and have some sort of professional uniform. So we've got blue clothes. They're just peasant clothes. I've changed the colour to be blue, but it gives it again that medicinal feel, adding to our colour theme. Outside, I've added a little water pump, so it's not a well, it's a bit more professional than that. I feel like an apothecary is going to need access to water, and they're going to need it quick a lot of the time, so they can pump it straight out of the ground. Now we are done with the daytime, we're going to go around and do the nighttime. I'm going to add lots of fun lighting effects to the windows, especially that big long window in the surgical suite. I think that looks really good. Another thing I liked is the tree outside. I used multiple layers of light, some underneath and some above the stamp, to make it look a bit more 3D. And once again, I have finished our map. We have a day and a night version, and I am pretty happy with this one. I think it's a great place for all sorts of stories. So let's take a little look at some of the areas. Ooh. Ah. Excellent. Absolutely smashing stuff. Now, let's have an explore of the story of this place. So, you work at an apothecary, what's going on? Well, the first place you're going to start is actually outside in the garden. This is where you're going to start your day. You're going to harvest a bunch of plants and herbs, and once you've gotten a good variety in your basket, well, you're going to wander back inside and head into the lab at the back of the site. This is where you're going to process all those reagents you've harvested, and you're going to be creating salves and potions, all sorts of medicine and powders that we can then take to the front of the shop and put out for people to peruse, grab, put into bags, and then take it to the till, and actually you do the transaction. Of course, if your commoners need a little bit extra help, they can book in to see the head apothecary, discuss their medical woes. And if things need to be taken further, well, don't you worry, our apothecary can then take you to the surgical suite. Probably come up with a more medieval name if I was bringing this into the gameplay. The main thing though is this is the place where we can do surgery on not just the commoners but on our players too. So there you have it, 2 apothecary maps you can download absolutely for free with the link below. You just got to go into ArtStation and download it there. But actually I was lying, I have a bonus map! We are going underground. So, what are we going to do? I'm going to strip away everything above, and we're going to build a little underground area for our staff to use as a place to rest, a little bit of a staff room. We have a bit of storage here, but we're also going to have the morgue. So this is where, if things don't go right, or if someone passes away, unfortunately, in your town, well, the apothecary folk can come over, take the bodies here, prepare it for any burial rituals you might need to do. If you don't want to do that at your local church or anything, they can actually put it here. It's also great for any murder mystery games you might want to run. A morgue is a great place to go if your characters want to learn clues about our victim, the cadaver. They can do an examination. You can bring in a medical skill check, and you can learn more about what actually happened. So this is just super fun for me. I love making spaces like this. We have a little area for people to sleep, because I imagine this apothecary, it might actually be open 24 hours depending on the situation. Now in the main morgue area we have a desk for apothecaries to staff this area. The slabs are where we'd of course put the bodies, maybe put a sheet over them. Obviously this is medieval times, there's not really any way to chill them. I mean, maybe magic, but I think in our starting town they wouldn't have access to that. So I've added a privacy curtain. 1, to mean if you're working down here you don't have to actually look at the dead bodies all the time, and 2, it'll hopefully keep the stink away from you as you work away into the night. One thing I really didn't like was the ramp I'd made. I'd just taken stairs and blurred it up, and I thought that looked pretty ugly. So in the actual final edit, I replaced them with a big stone slab and then used shading to try and give the illusion that it's a ramp that goes up and down for our trolleys to transport bodies. And there, you can just see it at the top. And we've gotten to the end of another video. So that's 3 maps for you this week. I hope you enjoy that. Next week's episode is going to be all about a farm. A farm? What's to do at a farm? I don't really know. I guess you'll have to tune in next time to find out. I'm Mike the Mapmaker. Keep on trucking, and I'll see you next time.